Basil,
Can you hear me?
hold on, I can't hear you. Give me a second.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Give me 1 second. I can't hear you. Um, Headset. Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, awesome. We're live. It's my first podcast ever, bro.
We're like, welcome to the live podcast. You know, it is PG-13, so
Okay, we'll keep it
hopefully.
PG-13.
Well, the good news: nobody on YouTube or Facebook is younger than 30, so we should be okay.
All right. So what's up, Basil?
Not much. So tell us. Let's start with. Let me do the little intro here that I
Yeah, little
do
hair.
for everybody, so they know what we got. Here we go. We're going to get rid of that. Close that. Close that. All right. Welcome to the Bowtie Edge, Real Estate Unraveled, where we strip away the legal jargon and get real about real estate, helping homeowners, investors, brokers, agents, lenders, and including my fellow attorneys to talk about what you actually need to know. I'm your host, Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, the Bowtie Attorney, and we have Nafis Nourali, real estate broker, bringing you unfiltered insights from the professionals on the front lines of real estate law. This isn't theory, it's strategy. Welcome to Nafis.
Thank you, Basil. Great intro.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's start with why don't you tell all of our listeners, the three of them, two drunk veterans and my mom, what it is that you do.
What I do, Basil, for the past 2+ decades is strictly short sales. Nothing but short sales. I used to do mortgages back in '01 through '08, and then the market collapsed. And I said, oh, what better thing to do than learn how to do short sales? It's like doing a mortgage in reverse.
Yep.
So then I learned how to do short sales before people even knew what short sales were back then, before the
Oh, I
banks were even
remember.
set up before the banks were even set up with a short sale department or a loss mitigation department per se. And so I just learned how to do it since then, and crafted it since then. That's all I've been doing since back then, I guess. And then
And you're actually really, really good at it.
well, thanks,
Uh,
Basil. Yeah, after
we've done a
after
bunch of
two
deals together.
decades,
One of the
hopefully,
few brokers I know that does all the work for the deal.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, not we don't do anything, but like I remember the first deal that we did, and I was like, bro, what is this guy? Get out! What this guy's doing freaking everything. Like you were drafting shit, you were writing shit. I mean, the attorney was approving it, obviously, but you were like all over the transaction. I was super impressed.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was doing for all that time until I met you. Is I was literally doing the AI letters and um, literally every part of the transaction from title work to everything, And I'm like, I just thought it was normal, and thank goodness I ran across you guys, so you guys can
Yep,
alleviate a lot of the work, and then I can actually do strictly trying to get the deal approved with the short sale lender.
we're here to spoil you.
Yes, spoiled I am. Thanks
Spoil
to your
you.
big team there. I can just email them and they do the work. They do a majority of the hard work on it. I just deal with what I know. What I specialize in is just contacting the banks and negotiating the deal and disputing values and meeting the BPO agents and all that good stuff there.
So that is a huge piece. I mean, there's a lot of people and a lot of people who actually will eventually watch this, and then we have an event coming up on the 23rd of April, right? Did I get that right? Or is it 22nd? Wow, I'm getting old, bro. Forgetting shit. Yes, the 23rd of April, Thursday. You remember that, right?
I do now, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do a whole thing on short sales, how to find, how to buy, how to negotiate the short sales. With your expertise, I have to say, there's a lot of people who say they do short sales. Very few of them are actually even decent at it or good at it. And it really is an art combined with the science. So what tell I mean, hey, I'm sure I know you've come across some crazy shit, some crazy deals that you've had to figure out. Um, do you want to give us a couple of those crazy stories or something that was like just so like you never thought it was going to close, but somehow you pulled it off?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch some of my testimonial videos from back in the day there, I had I had a guy, for example, call me up one day before his auction sale, literally one day before his auction. And he's like, man, I just got your thing in the mail and can you help me? And I said, when's your sale day? He's like, well, tomorrow. I'm like, geez Louise. So I told him to meet me at 5:30 in the morning. We filled out some paperwork. I got the foreclosure sale stopped,
That's
um,
awesome.
number one. And then number two, he was dealing with an attorney and an agent and a short sale negotiator. I mean, he had a whole team of people he was dealing with. And at that point, they still couldn't get it done, you know? And he had the reason they couldn't get it done. He had 4 different liens on the property, including like an IRS lien and stuff, and nobody
Wow.
knew how to do it. Um,
So
and
just so that we were clear, the IRS lien from the IRS for non-payment of taxes slapped the property with a major IRS lien. That doesn't go away in bankruptcy. Like you can't file bankruptcy and get rid of that.
you
No.
can't. So that is a whole lot of work when there are those type of liens on there. But I literally stopped the sale in that file, and got the guy more time in the house, and we were able to, took me the regular 2-3 months to get it done, but he got the deal done. He was super duper impressed. He even said, dude, I'm doing a testimonial video on it. But he was able to walk away with almost about 15 to 20 grand on that deal, even though he was upside down. He hadn't paid. He hadn't paid for about 6 years on his mortgage, and so he
Wow.
was upside down. He owed about I have the paperwork not in front of me, but I recall this because there was some crazy numbers between all the liens and stuff. He owed about 600,000+ on the house, and I got the bank to approve net. They ended up taking 220 grand on the deal. It was a
Wow.
house in Naperville.
That's
So yeah, yeah. So what you owe, I mean, what you owe doesn't matter. The key to the whole thing is most people don't do. They just want to stay home and stay behind their computer,
right.
and not do the extra legwork. And the extra legwork is actually going out to the house and meeting the BPO agent and the appraiser there. And that's the key to the whole thing is telling the appraiser what's wrong with the house, giving them some comps, explaining to them that you had multiple showings and this is the best offer you can get, and all that stuff. So
That is, it blows my mind. Like on any transaction, when I hear that the agent doesn't go to the property at the time that the appraisal is taking place, I'm
yeah,
like, what are you doing?
yeah,
I just,
yeah,
I never, like when I was, so I was, I mean, you remember I was a real estate broker back in 05 to 07. And from my thing, I was like, why? I was always at the property because I want to
yeah,
make sure you get the value. So I
yeah.
want to talk either up or down.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You have to be there. You have to explain to them what's going on, and you got to throw some numbers at them. They can't just willy nilly them. And the ones that actually show up without without me knowing one a couple times, sometimes they call the bar directly and the bar doesn't tell me. That just kills the deal pretty much. And that's a whole
Absolutely.
lot to do with it. That's the whole lot to do with it is getting the appraiser to understand what's going on with the property, what's wrong with the property, and all that stuff over there.
Because they can't
So
see the mold,
yeah.
they can't see the deficiencies, they can't see
Mm-mm.
the structural problems, they don't know
No,
the roof is bad.
no.
So they're not taking it into account when they're putting their numbers together.
They can't. Yeah, they're not taking that into account at all, and that's the whole. And then you have to end up when that happens is you have to end up doing a whole dispute on the value with the lender. And that takes a whole lot of time and a whole lot of work. And I have one right now that we're working where somehow the BPO got in the house without the agent knowing. I'm just the short sale negotiator on it.
Yeah.
Somehow the BPO got there and took the pictures, and they had a BPO complete over there, and um, and it came back at a crazy price. And now I have to do all the extra work, do the CMA, get contractor bids, do all that stuff, and submit to the bank and file the dispute, which adds an extra month to the file. You know?
Oh, at least,
Yeah, yeah, for sure
at
to
least.
do that. So I mean, we did the first deal that we did because I've been working with a different attorney for 2 decades, but the first deal we did together. Um, I was impressed by what you guys do, able to get things done. But the first short sale deal we did together, I mean, that guy literally called me a couple days before his auction. He had 3 liens on his house. It was in Streamwood, and between the 3 liens, it was 1.2 million. I'm not even kidding. And the third lien was $500,000. I'm like, how does this
I
make any
remember that.
sense? Yeah, so
Yeah.
they cross collateralized somehow the mortgage and city liens and all that, and we were able to get a $500,000 third lien to take $6,000, a second lien to take $6,000, and the first lien to take much less. And literally on 1.2 million, you ended up getting the house for like 300,000 or 280 or something.
That's a
and
huge.
nobody could.
That's very.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, look, there are very few people who know how to do this, and even a smaller number of those people who know how to do it that can deliver the way you have delivered. Like, it is remarkably impressive.
Well, thanks,
Um,
Basil. Yeah.
yeah. So how did you find us? How did we get connected?
We got connected. You were on the buy side of a deal, and I was doing all the work on the
Right.
sell side. And you're like, "What the heck are you doing?" I said, "Man, I thought this was normal for the past 2 decades. I got to do the AI letters, and I got to do make sure the title's clear, and file all the other papers." And you're like, "No, dude, that's not normal." And so that's how I started working with you guys. I'm
I
like, "All
know
right,
this
if you
was on
guys
the
are."
buy side. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys do that extra work, and I was impressed by you because we had a deal where the other attorney said he could get it done on a different deal, and you guys were actually able to file affidavits and do all kinds of creative stuff to get the deal done. And I'm like, holy cow! When like
Yep.
multiple people said they can get it done, so you guys are very creative too. And even Marina, for example, um, we had one where we were closing. I think it was like on around Christmas, for example, and she was literally the guy was going out of town. He only had, we only had an hour to get the deal done, and Marina stepped up at like 3 o'clock before Title left, and Title sent somebody out there. So your team, like there's no other team that can get that done because you have the relationship with the title company, and
Yep.
then the uh, you have people like Marina, who's very well versed in what she's doing, and she was able to draw up documents and second lien letters and all kinds of stuff like within 10 minutes and get everything signed and a mobile notary went. I mean, it was unbelievable, the impressiveness. And I can tell you from years and years and years of experience, there's no way, no other team or attorney team could actually even get that done, you know. And it was a short sale on top of
Right.
all that. That was actually one with Property Pals. I think that one they wholesaled it for 220. I got the short sale approved at 160. You know, and so they made
That's
that difference on there. And even the
yeah.
buyer got a great deal. But the
Right.
buyer got the deal. I think the property was worth like 340 or something like that. So the buyer got a great deal. Property Pals made a ton of money. I wasn't even the agent on it. A lot of some agents just call me up, and I'm just strictly the short sale negotiator on it. You know, I just get paid a small like transactional fee as a short sale negotiator, and there's already an agent on the file.
Yeah,
So
that's a good question. So I mean, there's different ways. How do you get compensated for this type of transaction? Like
so
on a
just like there's a multiple now. I mean, back then there wasn't, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there wasn't short sale negotiation companies, but there's a plethora of them now. And I've dealt with them. And when I was on the sell side, I mean, on the buy side, and the agent already had a short sale negotiation company on the buy side, or I'm sorry, on the other side of the transaction doing the short sale. And these people have, I mean, I'm not saying I know everything, but these people literally, that's why people get frustrated with short sales because even people with short sale negotiation companies, the guy didn't even have HUD software. He had to call the title company, wait 3 days to change a little figure on a HUD, submit it to the bank, and that's why it takes forever. I mean, I got my own HUD software and the rest of the things we need. I don't have to call the title company every 5 minutes to
right.
change something on the HUD. As soon
You
as the
can
lender calls me up, yeah, as soon as the lender calls me up and said, dude, I need this moved from the HUD, I need the fees reduced, I need that reduced, I do it within 5 minutes and I send it to them. They're like, holy cow, this is impressive, just because you have the right software and you understand how to use it.
right.
And that's what these short sale negotiation companies don't do. But how I get compensated on it, I just like short sale negotiation companies, they get paid a fee on the buyer side of the HUD. I get a fee on the buyer side of the HUD, and that's it.
Got it. So you pass,
Because
you have the buyer pay for it, but the savings they're getting are so huge that it totally makes sense for them.
yeah, the
It's like,
buyer, as long as the buyer's numbers make sense, yeah, they don't care because they're getting a great deal, and if they don't want to pay for it, there's 100 other people lined up, that will pay those
yep.
kind of fees, and that's how wholesalers make money. And these wholesalers, I mean, honestly, I didn't even know what. I mean, I kind of can figure it out, but wholesaling, I didn't know too much about wholesaling, or I didn't even know people would sell houses with equity in their houses. I didn't even know what wholesaling was. I'm like, what? They're selling your property when you got equity? Like, what the hell? And it wasn't in my purview, it wasn't in my realm. I didn't understand it, so I was able to. Um, these wholesalers you connected me with, I'm able to get multiple deals done for them, and they were leads that they were throwing out. They had no idea what to do with these. So they had no equity.
Because they're upside down and like you don't know what to do with them because they're not used to that. It takes, like you said, it's a very special set of skills to do what you do, and the efficiency.
It is.
How do you? So let me ask a question. When you're doing like your comps and stuff, you've got a property. What makes your comps different? What makes your comps special that actually makes sense? Like
what makes my comps different?
Yeah, what do you look for to make sure you get the numbers that you need? Like, how do you put those together?
Well, it wasn't my idea, but little trade secret I've learned through going to
we don't
seminars.
want to cause any issues here, so
No, it wasn't my idea, but years and many years ago, I can't even remember, back in, I don't know, many decades ago, there was a seminar I went to, and this lady was the short sale queen or whatever, and I went to her seminar, and she was just like I said, she was all about the appraisal and the BPO. And what she would do is go into the house and put stink bait in the in the cabinets. Yeah. And so the smell is really important. I was like, dude, look at the house. It's freaking falling apart, and that's how you're able to get value. I obviously I don't do that, but bottom line is you just have to, the reason you get value is you walk in there with not just with comparables, but with a repair sheet, from a contractor and say, okay, dude, this is what it needs. It's not going to sell otherwise. And then the appraiser includes that repair sheet and the comps, And sometimes what we even do is we just hire our own appraiser to go in there and appraise out the house on different occasions, and then we hand our full licensed appraiser over to the appraisal that comes in, and then they review it. It's one of their colleagues, and they're able to look at that value and understand, the adjustments that the colleague made, and you go from there on. So that's how you get it done, is pretty much the contractor repair sheet, and then
preparation, planning, and information. I've always said that, like, people think negotiation is about yelling the loudest or pushing the hardest or fighting the hardest. It's not really. It's really about information and communication. So having the data to support the position.
Exactly, having data. Exactly, you need to have the the contractor bid. You have to have the repair worksheet. That's key to the whole thing. You have to have the pictures, and then now because of AI, I used to write the letters myself, but AI is amazing. I just put it into ChatGPT, and it writes me a whole. What I do now is I upload the CMA and I upload the repair worksheet. I just started doing this. It's mind altering.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you upload the repair sheet and the CMA into chat, and it writes you a whole explanation letter to the lender on justifying your new value. And so now you have a professional letter based on the CMA and based on the repair sheet that Chat GPT puts together for you. And I send that letter in now, and along with the comps and stuff. So it's extremely professional. I used to write these letters myself, obviously, but but I wasn't nearly as good as what AI can do. So it's much easier. It takes 5 minutes to do it now instead of taking an hour to put together a letter of explanation. So the dispute is key too. And then when you call, you can't take no for an answer. You gotta talk to supervisors at the lender, and sometimes they just don't even submit a dispute. But you got to get the supervisors on the phone. That's the key to the whole thing.
I've had some people who've tried doing this, and they struggled with staying on the phone and getting somebody and getting passed around. Is there, like, when you say stick to it, make sure you get a supervisor on the phone, like, is that easy, or what does that look like? Or is that really tough?
You gotta be on hold for a long time, but you have to get a supervisor on the phone. You just have to ask for a supervisor and say one's not available, then you have to schedule a call back, and then you have to try calling again to talk to a different customer service rep. Sometimes they just say, oh, one's not available, and then you call back 10 minutes later, and suddenly they're available,
But I'm sure you've developed special relationships. Like, dealing with these lenders as long as you have, I'm sure there's people that you always see in a file. Like, you'll see somebody from, I don't know, I'm making up names, SLS or Mr. Cooper, and like, you've seen them so many times, their names, they've dealt with you. I'm sure you've come across that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've come across people that I've worked with before, supervisors at the Shell Point, for example, and they always change their names. The company always changes their names, but the people stay. And I have their prior email addresses and stuff, and I can contact them directly, and it helps definitely to have that relationship with them. But you never end up with you almost never end up with the same person. But when you talk to the upper management people, they remember you and they know you, and they know you can get the deal done.
Yeah.
And the benefit, like what you guys are doing now, and what we used to do with the other attorney, is like if you guys go to court on stuff and stop foreclosure sales on some of the files that you're receiving now, and the ones that you guys are stopping them on, once we're able to get those done, even the judges see your track record at that point, and see that you're not only are you stopping, and we're not stopping the delay, but we're actually getting these things done, and then it snowballs into them agreeing to stop agree to stop future sales, because they know when you guys come into court or EV Law comes into court, they can get the deal done.
Right. That becomes some bullshit thing. Let me ask you this, like, there are benefits to, like, some people will be like, it doesn't matter for the borrower, they got a foreclosure, might as well let it go. I mean, from your experience, what do you see as the benefits to the seller to avoid the foreclosure and get a short sale done?
It's a great question, Faisal. Amazing question. I'm telling
Thank
you. So yeah, what the seller asks is what's the benefit, and the most important.
I swear to God, you fucking awesome.
No, that's a good question. Because they ask that and people don't know the answer. And what the most important benefit to the homeowner is that, first of all, they don't have a foreclosure on the record. But for people, like for example, there's people that we could not have helped in the past, or I wasn't able to help in the past. You can't get every deal done, and they ended up getting that property ended up going to foreclosure auction, and the homeowner ended up getting wage garnishments. They froze their bank accounts and things like that, because the benefit, the whole
Efficiency.
yeah, deficiency, exactly. So the definition of the word foreclosure, it's a Latin word, forcing somebody off the title. So that's what foreclosure means. You're forcing that person off the title, but there's still a judgment out there. So if the house is, you owe 300 and the house sells for 200 at the auction, an extra 100,000 they can actually go after you for, and they may even take years for them to come after you. I had a lady who had a multi-unit in Rockford, and it took them like 7 years, and they ended up freezing her bank accounts, garnishing her wages 7 years later. So the benefit of the short sale that 99% of lenders offer, except for BMO Harris, is they offer the judgment deficiency. So once you're able to get the short sale done, they waive the
Deficiency.
they waive the deficiency on your credit report. It says settled for less than in full.
Yep.
And instead of a default, so it only affects your credit. It affects your credit a lot less points than a foreclosure would, obviously. And then,
did you know those judgments will last for 21 years?
Holy, are you serious?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, because they can do seven. After 7 years, the judgment, or 10 years. After 10 years, the judgment is no longer collectible, right?
Yeah.
However, anytime after that, before the 20-year mark, they can come in on year 15 and renew the judgment.
Holy moly, that's probably what they did with this lady. That's mind altering. I didn't know that. So yeah, that right there is a huge benefit, that the judgment is waived. Number one.
At 9% interest.
Huh?
At 9% interest per year.
Holy moly, man!
So it doesn't matter if you had a 3% mortgage or a 4% mortgage. The deficiency judgment is at 9% per year until it's paid off in full.
What the hell? Yeah, they don't know that. I didn't know that until just now, but my God. Yeah, so that right there, they can go after them for. So, and for the homeowner, I'm the single point of contact for them. They never have to call the bank. They don't have to call the attorneys. They just call me up and I shoot them a text or a call and let them know what's going on with the file. And I call the bank up, calling these banks every single day on all these files to see what's going on. And that's what a lot of people don't do, is they don't follow up with these short sale lenders. They wait for them to call. They wait for the short sale lenders to call you, and they'll never call you. Never, ever. They won't send an email. They'll never call you. So you got to literally call every 48 hours on every file and just push them along. So I had one we're working on right now where it switched different lenders and stuff. And I called them up and literally got the supervisor on the phone, and they weren't doing anything on the file for 2 weeks. And they said, "Oh, we're reviewing it." Finally got a supervisor. She ended up getting the single point of contact on the phone, on her end, and he ended up submitting the whole file. We're on the phone right to FHA to get the ATP, the approval to participate. And they would have never get done if you just wait for them. And yeah,
I had a case. This is pre-COVID. We were negotiating a short sale, and we were chasing for 2 months, only to find out that the woman who was working on the file went on maternity leave, and the file had been sitting on the corner of her desk since she left, and no one has to take it off.
Damn. Yeah, that's exactly what happened to this one. I don't know what happened to the guy, but he wasn't working on the file anymore. And I was emailing him, calling him, leaving messages. I finally got the supervisor just yesterday on the phone, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I see it's just sitting here." I'm like, "I've had this file there for such a long time. We got the appraisal done, everything's there." And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, this and that." She got the guy to submit it right to FHA, and we'll have the ATP next week on it. The approval to participate to close the file. Um,
Do you
and
think
that's
do you think it's intentional? Do you think it's just the system sucks? Do you think they just don't put enough money into it, or are they just totally overwhelmed? Like, what do you think is
No,
the
so I used to. That's a good question. I was actually I used to be underwriting. I was underwriting in a bank, in 2021, just when there was
yeah,
no foreclosure. So I actually got
yeah.
like a side gig underwriting just to learn what's going on at the bank. And I was a loss mitigation person doing the modifications and short sales for one of these big lenders.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so I saw what was going on the other side. But to answer that question, they are so overwhelmed. Even the one that we just did with Navy Federal, the one that we just closed with Navy
Yeah, I
Federal,
remember.
the lady
Yep.
was telling me, she's like, I'm working on over 105 files right now on my own. And she says
Oh my
people
god.
that, and I was just having a conversation with her, and I'm like, where are the deals coming from? How's this happening? She said people are so overpaying right now. She was telling me about a couple that just bought 6 months ago. She had a California deal, and they bought it for like 1.7 million, and they can't sell it for more than 800, 900 grand right now.
Jesus.
They just bought it 6, 7 months ago, and they lost their job or whatever happened. She said people are overpaying and they don't care. They get sucked into these things, and they look at the ambiance and they love the house and all that. They get emotionally attached to it, and they end up overpaying for these houses, and then life happens to them, and you end up with a short sale at that point is
I mean,
what
that's
occurs. And that's why, and so they're overwhelmed, and
yeah.
they don't want to do all that work. They don't get extra money for closing extra files, from what I understand. Um,
Wow.
so they get the
101 times. So that means they're negotiating within a 3 month period. They're negotiating. That's a lot of freaking files.
Yeah, that is a lot of files, and sometimes you have to get, like, sometimes on these deals, if the lender doesn't move them along, I have to call FHA customer service in Washington, and then FHA customer service in Washington, and then Oklahoma on the phone for FHA. You know, um, because you got to do on those things as well. Like, you have to get FHA involved, and then FHA has to contact the servicer. I've had to do that multiple times over there. So yeah,
It's
on
amazing.
that. Yeah,
So
yeah. So, huh?
do you love what you do?
Yeah, it's very depressing because I have to go to the homeowners and hear their stories. It's emotionally depressing. I'm like, holy cow, what happened? And then somebody died, or went to divorce, or somebody, got shot, whatever it was. And it's definitely emotionally like, dude, you're like, man, the world's falling apart. The end of the world is here, because
Yeah, yeah,
listen
yeah.
to these crazy stories. Like, I had one where I walked in this house, and this place was a hoarder house, and she had kids living there. And I told myself, I'm like, man, as soon as somebody walks in this house, like when I start showing it, they're going to call DCFS. And literally within like 2 days of like a couple people walking through, she had an appointment with DCFS. The place was like a hoarder house with kids living there. And finally we got the deal done, and she got out of the house, and it's a nicer place. But man, these people, like how they live, it's mind altering. Like, what the hell is going on? You know? And but I mean, they're mostly, for most part, they're nice people. They just have some life happen to them, but it is definitely emotional to deal with. So,
It really
but
is draining.
yeah, and nobody else, and very few people are willing to do this part. A lot of, just like you said, a lot of agents don't want to do the work. It's not really hard to do. The short sale stuff is not really that hard, but it's a ton of paperwork,
Yeah,
and a ton of HUDs, and it's piles and piles of documents, and you send them in. Then they say they didn't receive them, even though you got confirmation that they have it. Then you got to send them in again. And so it's a whole process of getting the docs in over and over again. Then the bank statements expire and the pay stubs expire. Then you got to resend updated ones. So you got to keep on top of it, is what it is.
yep,
But it's really not that hard. It's just the fact that it's easier to tell people where the living room is and not do the work.
of course.
Um, yeah.
Do
So it's
you
always,
one last and we won't take too much time from your time, and I really appreciate you speaking to us. And again, we're April 23rd. We're having the event in Oak Brook. We'll have the events for you guys. Keep in touch. We'll be holding it, and we've got the pleasure of being sponsored and hosted by the Godoy Law Group. They're an immigration firm, and they do probate, and they are also a great firm. But they're letting us use their offices for this event, so I'm excited about it. Um, talking about how to buy, sell, and negotiate short sales. So when you are listing the property, do you do anything different on the listing?
Yeah. So what I do on the listing is list the property. We pretty much temp it off for a little bit, until we get the short sale rolling along. Until we get the documents in and all that stuff, and then a lot of times the bank actually gives us price guidance on the property. Like FHA gives us price guidance. So once we have the correct number, then we activate it and go from there on it. But FHA allows a price guidance. So yeah, I just don't see a lot of these short sales, like the one we just closed in Glenwood, I think it was. Right across the street, the buyer sent me another deal. It was right across the street, and it was a short sale. And you could read the agent. They put it at a crazy price. They've had it listed forever. They have trouble showing it. They listed it, activated it, and all these people walking through the house, but you don't even know what number the bank's at with it. Like, what's the point? So it's kind of wasting people's time. So what I do
Yeah.
is I get the short sale rolling, get things situated at the bank, and get the third parties and all the way over there and ask them for a price guidance or a prior drive by or whatever they had, trying to get a number. And
Yeah.
then once we get a number back, then I activate it, on the thing over there.
That's interesting because a lot of people do it the other way. They'll list it first, get contracts, and then start submitting for the short sale. You, on the other hand, will open up the first you are at. I talk to you before submitting a package. Did I lose you?
No, I got me. You were just cutting out. So yeah, no, it's
Oh,
you have to do the exact you do have to do the exact opposite for sure. Is because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make common sense. You're not even going to negotiate a car when you don't know the price. So I don't know what the bank's going to come back with on the price. So you have to get some kind of guidance from the bank and see what numbers they're at with it. You know, is how it works. So yeah, you definitely have to do it that way, in my opinion. And there are a lot of short sale people actually do it that way. I heard there's about 7 or 8 people in all of Chicagoland that strictly specialize in short sales, and some of them
yeah.
are way better than I am at doing this because they've been doing it for so long, me longer than I have probably, and they know what they're doing, and that's how they do it as well. So I learned from these other people on it, and then how I get my own deals. And now wholesalers sent me deals, but I have a whole probably tell you at the seminar or whatever, but I have a whole script and a letter that gets sent out to these homeowners that have foreclosure sale dates coming up. I have somebody else, like Denise, for example, uses my letters, and then they call a pre-recorded message. We call capture their number,
Yeah.
um, and then we're able to meet with the homeowner and go from there. So these letters I sent out, I mean, they have a huge, crazy response on these things, um, and they work really well. I've been living off these things for decades. These letters I sent out, way better than the ones. Oh, I'm a realtor and this and that. It's literally talking about their situation, getting their foreclosure sale stopped for free, getting them, we'll get them cash back and they get more time in the house for free. So the marketing is pure and very simple. And I think there's a lot more, according to what I'm hearing from the lenders in different states. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I only do the state, but the reason they're so busy is because in other states, there's so many of these short sales coming down the pike, you know, as compared to Chicago. But there's going to be a ton of these things because people in the past few years have overpaid for their houses, and there's
Mhm.
no way at 7%, 6.5% rates, they're going to get the same amount what they owe on
Can't.
the house.
No, absolutely not.
So that's what that is
Absolutely
there.
not. I love it.
But I mean, but the important part I'm telling you is like not to, you know, give you a plug or something, but I'm telling you, I worked with other attorney for so long, and the amount of work that you guys put into it as well on the other end of it with the AI and the title and all that other stuff is very impressive. So it just allows me to work on a lot more files and a lot of these wholesalers, is how it works. So it helps out by having a group of people like Marina that actually knows what she's doing over there,
It's
and
having
does
a
know
solid
all of them.
team, right? You
Mm-hmm.
need you need a good broker, negotiator, attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're the same, but if you don't have a good team that can pull with you, you end up pulling by yourself, which you may be able to do, but it's just too much.
Yeah,
Too
it's way
much.
too much, and you can't handle it. At a certain point, it's just a lot of work. So either way, I mean that definitely helps for sure.
Well, Nafis, thank you very much, Habibi. It was a pleasure as always to see you,
Habibi.
Habibi. um, Again, Nafis Nurali, an amazing short sale negotiator. Highly recommended. I can't recommend him any more than it's just fantastic. And I've worked with a lot of them over the years. Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, bow tie attorney, And again, this was the Bowtie Edge, Real Estate Unraveled. We stripped away the legal jargon. We got real about real estate. We helped homeowners, investors, brokers, agents, lenders, and my fellow attorneys. And we talked about what you actually need to know. Me, Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, the Bowtie Attorney, we and our wonderful, amazing guest, Nafis Noorali, brought you unfiltered insights from the professionals on the front lines of real estate law. This was not theory, it was strategy. See you later.